Welcome back to the Talking Schemes podcast. I'm your host, SchemeGuide. Today we're going to be talking about Madden 23. Most of us have had about 2 weeks to play the game so far and get a feel for what the at least initial game has been like upon launch. I'm sure it will get patched a dozen times between now and next April, and it'll probably play completely differently then. So, Madden 23. Does it suck? First off, I just want to start off with my general thoughts on the recent history of Madden. And just up top, I want to say I am generally a Madden stan and a Tiburon defender. I kind of have that reputation, I think, among people that know me in the Madden community. Since Madden 13 rebooted the franchise, my main mode to play has been online 32 user connected franchise mode, where for the past 9 years I have been a Madden commissioner of a sim league. For the past 8 years I have run the Facebook groups Air Raid Offense 101 and Run and Shoot 101, two of the largest online communities dedicated to those two offenses. My Madden League is centered on users declaring their scheme, creating custom playbooks, and replicating real-life football strategies in Madden. A league geared towards high school coaches and people who fanboy over Seth Galina or Chris B. Brown of SmartFootball.com. A league where the best users pad their opponents' recent game tapes, looking for tendencies. For me, head-to-head is only something I play for practice reps versus a user, and MUT isn't enjoyable to me. So my review will be coming from the perspective of the small corner of the fandom that wants real football strategy over stick skills, who cares more about if I can replicate the latest scheme trends in Madden. So, Madden 23. Does it suck? So I've kind of broken my thoughts so far on what we've seen into a few different categories. First up on offense, the most notable new thing is the free-form passing. It will need some adjusting. I think they're going to end up patching it a little bit, but with how it is in the game right now, you can make some really impressive throws that you never were able to before. They also have added many new QB throwing motions, which are a welcomed addition. There are some really cool new passing plays, several in the Seahawks playbook, the Rams playbook, the Cardinals playbook. Pretty much the NFC West got some really cool upgrades. However, the option routes from the run and shoot now glitch versus coverages that tend to result in man or match with a single safety somewhere over the middle. I'm not exactly sure why it's triggering, but the inside streak read is hitching up. The inside post read that is in like the play choice or HY option, it's converting into a drag. I have no idea why. There's also some issues with the offensive line struggling to pick up blitzers without you manually making several adjustments to the pass protection. In past versions of the game, that wasn't necessary. You would have a decent blitz pickup, but you could improve how it performs by using some of the specific O-line, kind of adjustments. But in the current game, there's several times where I've seen just a straight up strong safety blitz, fire zone, and the safety just doesn't get picked up by anyone unless I ID the mic as the strong safety. That's the only way I can even get him to get picked up. There's also been a tendency in the more comp area of the game to just ID the mic as one of the corners, because then it will pick up things correctly. You shouldn't have to have weird workarounds like that to make blitz pickup happen. In the NFL, centers will often, do a lot of the kind of more generic, protection stuff automatically, depending on the system. Some systems, it's all on the quarterback, but it should be something that is generally picked up. That being said, I do think it's good that blitzes can get through, sometimes unblocked, because that does happen in real life. The bigger issue is just there was really nothing put out there about it, and there's no new tutorial on, hey, this has changed, here's how you need to approach it. So a lot of people are just kind of lost, and it's obviously led to a lot of nano blitzes, or pseudo nanos blitzes, where guys are just coming through unblocked with looping kind of trajectories off cover zero man press right now early in the game. I'm sure that will get patched to some degree, but it's an issue right now. Another issue is the new skill-based passing is generally really good, but right now it's virtually impossible to lob passes. I think I've encountered one person who says they can lob passes using the skill-based passing, whereas if you switch it back to classic, it isn't a major issue. And then another gripe I've heard a lot is the fact that they removed key air raid plays like mesh snake and pistol trips left open and the Y cross from pistol spread. That one really bummed me out, because that Y cross and pistol spread was maybe my favorite Y cross in the game. And for some reason, every Y cross is drawn and the route is ran at different depths, depending on the formation. So yes, there are other Y crosses in the game, but to me, that was the one that just had the correct spacing and the correct everything, and now it's gone. So that's a bummer. In the ground game, the triple option and really any run with the pitch read, it's very effective. I've seen them sometimes just quarterback not even get picked up almost, or if he does, you can pitch. And in last year's game, you really had to be like driving almost north-south down the field with the quarterback in order to get the pitch to the running back in a meaningful way. Whereas in 23, you can be pretty much anywhere and hit that LB button, and the ball will magically fly across the field and right into your running back's hands. It's a little overpowered, but very effective. It's made running the triple option a lot of fun early in the game. Any kind of tosses or sweep plays are also really thriving, and that is a little bit because everyone was running that cover zero, pinch, the press kind of scheme, and the outside run game was really able to just thrash that. One thing that's been a real joy is they added a lot more wide zone plays with the correct running back path. That was a great addition, although we need more and more sets. So it's a good start, but there's still more room there that can be added. There's also been some issues with inside run blocking. Sometimes it just whiffs on easy blocks. In Madden 22, you could effectively run based on the front presented and how your opponent adjusted their defensive line. But using a lot of those same kind of keys, which are real football kind of keys for when you should run different runs, it doesn't line up the same way. The double teams aren't as crisp, and pullers aren't picking up guys the way they necessarily should. In general, I feel like run blocking needs to be improved, because the area we're running is really the most effective is when you're getting out wide outside of the box and avoiding the O-line directly being involved in opening up holes for you. So, I think that's an area that needs to be kind of addressed in these next few patches. Also, on the topic of wide zone and some of the cool stuff in the playbooks, the Debo package is great. I wish I had more plays in it, or there were more, if that was a right stick package and more sets. But having a wide zone gun run to the wide receiver is a lot of fun, and I'm sure people are going to have a lot of fun with that in this game. However, that's really the only major new formation, and a lot of formations were taken out on offense. The one that I was really loving at the tail end of Madden 22, and we had a whole podcast about it just a couple weeks ago, is Gun Open Flex Week, which is now no longer in the game at all. It would really be great if some of these formations that are now no longer in the game were, be moved to an alternate playbook or put into the spread playbook. I know a lot of those sets were in playbooks like the Urban Meyer Jaguars playbook, and now Urban's gone, so they scrapped that playbook. But there are so many plays that were in the Bears playbook, unique formations that were in that, or Jacksonville, or some of these other formations that are just gone. There's I-Form Pro used to be a 50 play formation, and now it's got like 15 plays. So 30 something plays have been lost from I-Form Pro, and maybe that's justified. The league is moving away from I-Form as a base, but some of those plays were really cool. I love the halfback pass out of that formation. It had been in the game going back for a long time, and it's gone. Not that halfback pass is the greatest play of all time or something, but it was a cool trick play you could pull out. There's not a lot of really great trick plays in Madden, so just losing a lot of those different plays and formations that they deleted out is a little bit of a bummer. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, pass rush is cranked up to 11. It's coming. Add in that the O-line is having some issues picking up blitzes and blocking stuff correctly. The fact that the pass rush is very effective is great. I like that the formations were renamed with more realistic front names. So, for instance, nickel normal is now nickel over because it's an over front. They removed a lot of the third digit from the different formations. So instead of it being $326 or whatever it was, it's now just $32. I think a lot of those kind of more cosmetic and aesthetic changes were really good. And I think getting to a more technical nomenclature is better. They've been slowly doing that over the years anyways. They used to call single back ace used to be called single back big. And then, they said, okay, well, we're not going to use this big terminology anymore, and they made it ace. They also added some new blitz plays. There's some really cool new plays in that regard. I'm off the top of my head, one that I really like is there's a new cover 1 blitz in 3-3 cub, which used to be 3-3-5 wide. And it has the linebacker over the middle and one of the outside linebackers blitzing, but the other outside linebacker is manned up on the tight end. I really like that, especially against some two-back type of looks where you get that outside linebacker lined up on a fullback instead of, maybe I don't want him on Pitts, but, if you can get him on a back, that can be really effective. There's also one major issue I have with the defensive front, and that's that it's near impossible to win on user pass rush moves. Now, a lot of people, are not a fan of using the D-line, and they viewed any kind of, user win on the D-line, that's a bad thing. But as it is right now, you can easily burn through all your pass rush moves and doing nothing different than what you would have done last year, just using up one. The pass rush moves are not very effective at all. They're all very nuked, which is weird because the CPU pass rush is just, like I said, it's up to 11. But if you get down there and user a guy, I almost feel like it's worse. At the very least, in 22, it felt like even if you couldn't win with your guy, you might be able to stress out the offensive line enough to spring another guy into a one-on-one instead of a double team, and then he could maybe get pressure late. And, I picked up a couple sacks that way, and it was very fulfilling. But right now, there's really no point to even touch the D-line because the CPU is so much stronger, and that needs to be adjusted. We don't need, easy wins on the D-line, but the user pass rush should be a rewarding experience when you time it and user it correctly. And right now, there's no reward. I would say in Madden 21, it was, super easy. You could just club and split a double team if you usered the guy that was in the A gap, and he would always get double teamed, and it was super easy. Last year, I think it was a really good mix where nothing was overpowered, but you were able to, get a good bull rush in and blow up a block. But right now, you can't almost seemingly do anything. On the topic of defense and the secondary, there's a ton of new 2 invert plays that make 1 high shells more viable. However, cover 4 palms, cover 9, 2 sink, 3 buzz match, etc. were removed from a dozen formations, and in the case of 3 buzz match weak, it was removed entirely. I just don't understand that decision. Coverage plays all 3 levels tightly and reacts aggressively, which is great. One issue that there was in last year's game was that the coverage was really taking away the deep in the mid, but at the expense of the short stuff. And it was really easy to just sit there and spam table routes and shallow crosses and flat routes and screens. And, those guys were not going to get contested at the catch point. This year, they really play that well as the medium and deep stuff. I'm sure that will change a little bit as the game gets patched and how it gets patched, but that's great. One issue I still have is that defensive backs still attack the ball more aggressively than receivers do, which in many cases it doesn't make a lot of sense. So in our league, we have we don't have no switch rules, but you can switch, but you can only hit the catch button. And, the problem is it's so easy for the defense right now to click over and just hold Y, and their defender will break on the ball. While the wide receiver, you click over and hit A or X or Y, and they just keep running on their path, and they never attack the ball. It's very strange, and they'll just keep running while the defender, undercuts it and just steals it. And it creates all these picks that just, they don't make sense. If the receiver would at least compete for the ball, it would be, 50-50, but they just run their route and don't even contest it. It's the strangest thing. That really needs to be patched. On the defensive playbooks, Tampa 2 is no longer a coverage in 4-3 under, which makes it impossible to make an authentic Tampa 2 custom playbook at all, because the base formation's 4-3 under, and Tampa 2, that's just crazy. It's still in the cover 2 playbook, But now, essentially, if you want to run a Tampa 2, which I just dropped a whole guide on the Tampa 2, you have to use the Cover 2 stock playbook, and you have to manually set your audibles if you don't like the audibles that they have. We needed Cover 9, Palms, 3-buzz match, etc. added to more formations. Instead, they were removed from several. Despite the Fangio-Staley style defense being somewhat in vogue right now and specializing in 3-buzz match, Cover 9, etc. for formations that are in Madden but don't have those coverages in game. I mean, the trend right now is teams moving more and more to 2 high shells, and Madden's response is removing 2 high shell plays and adding more 1 high shell plays. Tiburon, please, make it make sense. As far as, changes I would like to see, wish list items, etc. Like I said earlier, if you can just leave the remove plays from team playbooks and the custom playbook tool, or add an additional alternate playbook with those forms, that would be great. I would love to see option routes added to switch and 4 verticals in the run and shoot playbook. Not just the standard 4 verticals play, but, different variations on it. There's a lot of plays in different team playbooks that play off of 4 verticals with tags, but it would be great if, there were different versions of 4 verticals beyond just here's one with lock seams, here's one with a 2 route post or seam route by one of the slots, and here's the version in the run and shoot that has the inside streak read by one of the slots and 1 formation. And that's the only real variations we have. It would be great if, there was something like House-wide Juke, but, a 4 verticals version. Different plays like that could really, give a lot more personality and different types of 4 vertical plays. I think would be really exciting. Especially switch. Switch in Madden has always just been a post wheel, and post wheel is part of it. But it would be great if that post could just go right up the seam if it's cover 3. If there's a single midfield safety, why is he going to post into that? In the run and shoot, he would never do that. He would sit it down, or he would run up the seam. If the wheel has a guy that just, way up on top of him and backpedaling, and he's never going to beat him deep, he would sit it down or break it in. It would be great to see those things added in. As far as franchise mode, the biggest things really would be the ability to schedule advances. So for our league, we always advance the same time, ideally, which would be, like 10 or 11 in the morning. It would be great if we could just set it to automatically do that, not have to have someone that is available at 10 or 11 in the morning to log on, hit advance. Related to that, we always have to turn injuries off, advance, and then turn them back on. It'd be nice if there was a toggle for injuries in sim games. So if we have games that are versus CPU, we will, force results. Or if a game, disconnects and someone was way up, or someone doesn't show up for their appointed time, there are games that get forced wins or fair sims. And, we don't want half those teams to be riddled with injuries, because in simulation games, for some reason, there's far more injuries than there are in the regular games. And no one wants to lose their players when, their opponent couldn't play, and so they got a free win that week. And oh, by the way, your quarterback's out now for the rest of the year. Have fun. That's a bummer. So it'd be really great to have a toggle as well for injuries and simmed games specifically. So we could turn that off, and if we could have it automatically schedule, so every day at 10 a.m. it advances, that would make everything a lot easier for us to run our league. And it would be great as well to have a global setting and like your game options where you're, adjusting your skill-based passing or whatever right now, it'd be nice if there was in there a toggle for match coverage, so it would default to toggling on or default to toggling off. I think that would be very helpful for if you do want to run match right now. Every single game you play, you have to go into coaching adjustments and toggle it on. And I think half the games I've played, I've forgotten to do it until halfway through the first quarter. So it's definitely something I got to do better on, but it'd be nice if, Madden would make that a little easier for those of us that want to use match coverage. With all that being said, I did open up the floor to several of the guys in our community so that they could all, call in and give their 2 cents on everything. So at this point, I want to let, some of the members of our community on our Discord all say their piece, and then I'll check back in with you after.
Biggest positive I had from Madden 23, and which is also probably the biggest selling point of the game, was the new passing system with the visual feedback of the reticle and the circle around the receiver, what his catch radius is, and then the freeform passing, being able to place the ball where I want it. Past Maddens, I'd have the receiver running a snag route or a hitch route, and there'd be a defender sitting inside on one shoulder, and there'd be nothing but green grass on the outside. So where do you think the quarterback would throw the ball? Well, in previous Maddens, he'd put the ball in between the receiver and the defender, and it'd often get picked. Now we can actually say, I want to put the ball on the outside shoulder where only the receiver can get it, and he's got room to run after the catch. Being able to put the ball in a spot where a quarterback would actually try and put it in is probably one of the biggest improvements of any Madden in recent years. After that, probably the thing I was happiest the most to see was the improved pass rush. In previous Maddens, people would just run slants all the way out across the field and throw them outside the far hashes as a third window throw, and they'd have time to do that where they get 4+ seconds, 4, 5, 6 seconds in the pocket to do it. In this Madden, you're actually making people throw the ball on time, and if they don't, they get punished for it. Just recently I was playing a head-to-head game. A guy tried running double slants all the way across the field, and he got sacked because he did not throw the ball on time when he actually had the window to do it. That's the type of stuff I want to see in Madden. And then just the general improvements to defensive AI logic. They're reacting to pass faster, they're reacting to run faster. They're no longer letting posts and deep crossers just run across their face without reacting to it. They're actually topping off the routes. And combine that with the new pass rush system, we're no longer giving up those huge chunk plays every single time on defense where people just eat up the field and don't have to move the ball down the field with making good reads and quick passes. Now, I'm not saying that's perfect. Quarter flats still do a poor job with getting out leverage to flat where a defender will be shooting out the numbers and they're still sitting inside the hash mark. That's still got to be improved on, but as a whole, defense has improved massively with their ability to react to passes and not get out leveraged. Now, the one really big negative I had about this game, and really the elephant in the room, the one thing that prevents me from truly enjoying this game, is what they did to the playbooks. In particular, the defensive playbooks, with removing palms and cover 9. Palms has completely different matching rules than what quarters has. But they removed palms from all the nickel sets, all the 4-3 sets. The only nickel set it's in is big nickel over G. I believe it's only in 2 dime sets. Cover 9, it's also different than cover 6. You just look at the player, one side's quarters, one side's cover 2. Well, no. It has to do with what side aligns to the strength or the passing strength of when the offense lines up. I would call them in very different situations, and now I feel like I've handicapped on defense with what they did. And then other plays that are removed from nickel sets are the ones that really help you disguise your coverage and protect what you're doing. You got your 3-buzz match and 3-buzz match weak, which start out too high, then roll to single high. Having those is essential to being able to protect something like quarters or palms from just being torn apart by post routes. Middle field of the closed versus middle field opened. I've got to be able to have something to disguise my coverages and protect them. And other coverages where you have cover X show Y, like cover 9 show 2, that's been removed from nickel sets. Why? Then on the offensive side of the ball, they removed plays and even entire formations, which I realize they've got to do to make room for new stuff because of the limitations of their playbook editor currently. But where I have an issue with this is what they chose to remove, what they chose to leave in, and what they chose to add. You have formations where you have your power concepts and counter concepts. I'm not referring to just the run plays, and it could be anything. It's plays that are designed to get the defense to overcorrect for one thing, then you hit them with the other one, which takes advantage of that. Well, now they've had formations where they'll remove one but leave the other, so it's an incomplete formation. I can't really do much with it. Same thing with some of the formations they added and plays they added. Well, it's still an incomplete formation. They might have gone through and watched the film of what these teams run, but you didn't put any consideration into what a complete offense is. And we have to have these plays that work together. It's not just, oh, these teams run this plays, so we'll throw these in here, and we didn't really see them in the limited film we watched, so we're going to take those plays out. That's an incomplete offense. You have to have both in there. But other than the playbooks, I really don't have any major complaints about the game. The core of the gameplay is really good. It's probably the best gameplay we've had in years, at least since Madden 19. There are always going to be some minor bugs in there that need to get patched out, like every video game has, so hopefully those get addressed at some point. Against Cover 3 Sky, you've got mesh from spread Y flex and spread Y slot. Instead of running the meshes, the receivers will run hitches. On the subject of mesh, now that I bring it up, there is a massive improvement made for Madden 23 with it. Where in previous Maddens, you'd often risk throwing a pick on it if you threw the mesh too early, where the receivers have the option to sit down against zone or keep running against man. If you throw it too early against man, the receiver's just going to stop running and it's going to get picked. Against zone, if you don't let the receiver come to complete stop, it's often thrown too far in front of him, too far behind him. He has no chance at it, and the defender's going to pick it. But now, if you throw it against zone, the receiver's just going to stop running, turn around, and put his hands up. The ball is right on his body. It's not way out in front of him, way out behind him, and it's not going to get picked. Same with man. Now you can actually throw it right after they cross against man coverage, and the receiver's not going to just stop running his route and let the ball get picked. And this isn't something you're going to see in patch notes. You're not going to see YouTubers talking about it, but to me, this is a huge improvement for the game. It's something I'm really happy about. It's something I wish I brought up earlier. It's a minor improvement. Most people aren't going to notice it unless you're an air raid enthusiast like I am. You're not paying attention to that kind of stuff that much. You're not running the play very much. But for me, it's a huge improvement. It's something I really, really love about this game.
What's up, guys? Welcome to SchemeGuide's podcast. I'm Who's Mans. I have my own YouTube channel, but I do enjoy watching SchemeGuides. You are not here for me. You're here for the review here. So I'm a football nerd. I like to play more sim, and with 23, I feel like that's a little bit more possible, especially with how pass rush is. The one thing that I don't like about the pass rush, however, is it seems like the offensive line logic isn't the greatest. I would rather the pass rush come more organically than, I guess, where offensive linemen just refuse to block certain things. But other than that, I mean, it's not too bad. Even on the offensive side, the offensive line logic isn't the worst. I'll say that too. I noticed that more so with running the ball. Pulling guards, although they are very slow, they do actually get up the field instead of just stay behind the line, especially when you're a bit more patient. I wish the pulling guards were maybe a little bit faster. I'm not asking for, Usain Bolt, but I wish they were a smidge bit faster. It got up, to get up the field, because when you watch, film, guards are not that slow. Running backs don't have to pretty much stop in order for them to get up the field. But that's really the one thing that I don't like. Another thing I don't like is how easy it is for the jump balls, where wide receivers to come down with jump balls, and also sometimes it seems just like the computer doesn't understand that not every pass in traffic has to be caught. It seems like either the defense is going to catch a ridiculous pick, or the wide receiver is going to catch some ridiculous pass. And I get that happens in real life sometimes, but some of these passes that get caught don't make sense, where you have two guys' hands actually meet, touch, and they're running full speed, and it's like, how did anyone catch the ball? I get it more so if it was like a tip catch, but there's that. The 360 cut's amazing. The passing is pretty good. I really like the direction of the passing. Like I said, the jump balls get kind of ridiculous sometimes, but I do like the direction they're going with the jump balls. It's just I don't like how easy it is to catch jump balls, it seems like. Maybe they should slightly tone it down just a smidge. It seems like, if you're 6'5" in this game, you're going to come down with every jump ball, whereas, that's not necessarily the case. I watched plenty of games last year with Chase Claypool where he is 6'5" and he can jump, and he just, for some reason, didn't want to come down with a lot of them. Now, your guys like Mike Evans, that's really the only, prime Julio Jones. I get those. They're going to come down with most of them, but I really feel like the spec catch rating should really matter in those, jump ball 2-on-2 situations. But other than that, I'm enjoying the game. I haven't really dived into franchise too much yet. I plan on doing that. I enjoy it. Go ahead, if you're not subscribed to SchemeGuide, go ahead, subscribe to them, like the video, and all that good stuff, man. Peace.
Early 23 feedback. So I really love the new passing system that you have, the accuracy and power, the power and the classic. Obviously classic's the old system, but I like the new system, and I hope for future Maddens you guys keep it in. Even though it's hard to adjust, I still love it. Still getting used to it, but I love it, and I feel like moving forward, just keep it in. Please don't take it out. And also, you can keep the classic for people that don't like it, and they can just toggle back or just turn it off and play with the classic feature. But I love the new passing system. Pass rush is great. I love pass rush. Pass rush is, I love it. Get the ball out 2 to 3 seconds, no more. Drop it back 20 yards and then rolling out. Get the ball out quick, so I love that. Now, what I don't like is the offensive line play. I feel like the center at times doesn't know his assignment or who to block, and that's what's leading to a lot of sacks. So hopefully, down the line, you guys fix the offensive line play just a tad bit, patch it up. Man coverage every year is the same thing. As far as man defense is a little OP. It's not really a complaint because you guys do a good job of patching it with the first patch. So you guys usually wait for the feedback. So it's nothing new there. So I figure you guys will patch that. As far as the Madden game so far, out of 10, I'll give it an 8. I really enjoy it, really like it. It's a good game. Oh, I'm sorry. And the playbooks. That's what I meant to talk about. The playbooks, taking certain plays out and certain formations out. It kind of threw a lot of people, especially my league, off because we run actual systems whether it's the air raid, spread, smash mouth, spread, whatever. So it just took away certain formation, so where we have to find different concepts to complete our playbook. So just taking out certain concepts kind of threw us off. So hopefully you guys add some of those plays back with the live playbooks or whatnot. But like I said, as far as Madden, I still give it an 8 out of 10. I like it, I enjoy it, so that's my feedback.
Hey, so I like the new passing system and game sense engine, but I don't like how various plays and formations have been left out, like 4-3 normal. However, the game has added plays that I'm really glad they did, like more cover 2 invert, for example. I still wish there would be some form of options when it comes to the momentum home field system. Ultimately, I give Madden NFL 23 a 7.5 Champ Bailey out of 10.
All in all, I think that this game has some of the best gameplay Madden has given us in a long time. But the big concern is about what it cost in terms of the losses in the playbooks. I think if we could have maybe those Madden 22 playbooks with the gameplay of 23, that could be the best Madden ever. As such, I kind of agree with some of the other people that have given their rating of the game, and I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10. So going back to our original question, does Madden 23 suck? Nah, but it does need a little bit of work. And I'm pretty confident that the upcoming patches should hopefully, smooth over most of those rough edges. I'm sure, though, every time you make one fix in a patch, you end up breaking 3 or 4 other things that maybe you didn't even intend to. So I'm sure it'll be a process like it always is, but I look forward to a fantastic Madden 23 cycle. Make sure you hit subscribe, like it. If you are listening on the audio podcast, make sure you are following and subscribing on your podcatcher of choice. If you have any questions, we have a Discord. You can come and ask questions to pretty much anyone that's been a guest on this podcast is over there, and we'll be glad to talk scheme with you. So come on, join our community and like, comment, subscribe. Have a good rest of your day and enjoy Madden 23.